We made it, guys. Team lists are here. I've just clicked into it now, and let's see this load and let's live react together. I'm super excited for round one, guys. We do only get the 4 teams in this team list analysis, so will be a shorter one, and this will be part 1 for the round 1 team list. So you'll see this thumbnail again. Next week on Tuesday will still be round 1 for the rest of the teams. Just make sure, guys, when you are setting up your squads for these first couple of Vegas games, your vice captain, your captain, and whoever plays in these 4 games will be locked out by the end of Sunday afternoon after those 2 games have been played, 1:30 and 3:30 p.m. Sydney time in Australia. And then we have, 5 days until the Thursday night game when the next lot of people will be locked out of your side. So make sure that you factor that into your decisions when you are setting up your squads here for round 1. All right, let's get into it. Eagles up against the Bunnies to kick things off, and Turbo is there. Happy days. Kohler and Garrick in the centers. We have Jackson Barlow there on the wing, which is exactly what we thought with Sabi, Brooksy, Cherry Evans, Paseka there, Josh Laa in the starting. So we haven't really seen him in the preseason, but Burbo has been named on that edge. We do see Carl Lawton in the 14 role. Nathan Brown didn't get the starting role, so I think you'll avoid him, guys. Corey Waddell on the bench. What we thought, I suppose, was going to happen with him. Obviously, no Schuster. Jake Arthur's in the 18. Tommy Talau didn't make this squad, which, absolute kick for those that were looking at him, that's for sure. But I suppose this team, guys, there's not a lot really to talk about, is there? We've got the guns in Turbo and DCE, Garrick even, that you might be looking at. I wouldn't push anyone away from Turbo or DCE. Obviously, I think Luke Brooks probably take a little bit from him. But I suppose that's something to note there. In the forwards, are you looking at anyone other than Burbo and then Paseka? Olaquarch is obviously a gun there as well. If you're looking at that interchange, guys, I think Carl Lawton is going to take a few minutes off Lockie Croker, given he started there in the trial. So I look to probably 15 to 20 minutes there, potentially a little bit of middle. This looks solid enough, I think, for our boys in Ben Trebojevic and Olaquarch to both play 80 minutes. So that's probably my big takeaway here. Lawton more there just for some smaller minutes in the middle. And they have these type of guys here, and Waddell and Bullymore and stuff like that could cover in the back row. If something happened, there's an injury in the center, then Burbo can go to the centers. There's a little bit, a few things that they can do here for sure. And that's probably how they'll play it. Brownie, maybe he's like a 30-minute. Bullymore's a 40. Similar to that, Paseka's probably 45 to 50. LAA, 40-ish, I'd say. He could be a little bit more, but we haven't seen much of him. So I suppose he's sort of their big, important middle forward at this point of the season with the few guys that they have out at this stage. And Corey Waddell could play anywhere between 30 and 45 as well. So no real massive minute guys, apart from J-Trob. I'm not sure if he's going to play huge minutes as well. Let's move to the Bunnies, and we see a very interesting name on this list, and that's Jacob Gagai there. So we do get a cheapie, which is very interesting. Fantasy and Supercoach. That's cool one to look at, and check him out in the game there. And I don't know, would you slot him in your side? There's a few things to think about in that one, that for sure. A little bit of the news was that Pete Mamazelis was going to play the 14, and that hasn't come about. They do have Silavat Havili, who can play some 9 as well, if that's where they decide to go and play him there. I suppose the big interesting one here is probably Jacob Host in the back row. He'll play 20 or so, 30 minutes maybe for Arrow. This also reminds me of 2022 when Jairo would start 25 minutes or something like that, move into the middle for a little bit. Jacob Host would go onto that edge and play 50 odd minutes. So that's probably a little bit of a worry if we're looking at guys like Cam Murray as well, that you're not likely to get Murray moving to that edge that we were kind of looking at or potentially thinking about with him. So I still am high on Murray with this interchange. It's not the best interchange, but I still don't think it affects him that much because this is a type of interchange that they use very regularly last year with David Moale playing sort of that 20 odd minutes. Burgess will be that 40 max. If you are looking at Tavita Tola, then I don't see any issues here. And then Sean Kepi comes into calculations as well. He's beat out, we thought Tommy Burgess would be on the bench considering he was last year, but he's beat out David Moale. So in terms of out and out middles, you've got David Moale, Thomas Burgess, Tavita Totola and Kepi. And do we expect Kepi to play massive minutes? No. Tavita Totola is likely the 45 to 50 minute guy, exactly like we thought it would be. And then lower minutes for Davy. Host could be anywhere between that 20 odd to sort of 40 or 50 on an edge, and potentially Arrow plays a little bit more through the middle. Could be an option. Or do they just have Host as kind of a 20 or 25 minute guy? There's a few things to think about here for sure. And Talis Duncan in the 18s, it's not what we, I suppose from that trial that we saw where he was named at 18, then that makes a bit more sense. But yeah, it's going to take a little bit of time for him to work his way into this squad. So that's that first two guys. I suppose, yeah, we'll have a little bit more of a thought into that forward pack for the Bunnies and then who that affects exactly. But I don't think it affects Totola or Murray too much. And they could obviously change things last minute as well, given it's Tuesday and they play... they play on Sunday at 1:30 p.m. here. Obviously Saturday night for those guys. In terms of their backs, guys, Latrell Mitchell, obviously a clear one that you do need to look into most weeks, most years. He does really well. Kenna's a slightly awkward price, and Gagai's kind of the one. And he's a little bit risky, obviously, Jacob. But I do think as well that when Munro does return, it could be that because Gagai's playing on that wing, that he keeps that spot and Munro goes back and plays through New South Wales Cup. That is the most likely. There was some talks of Munro playing through fullback in the New South Wales Cup anyway, after playing this couple of games when you had Whiten and the like out for that first few. And now that he's injured, I think that's probably smarter to pop him back through that, especially if Jacob plays fairly well. We know he's a decent ball runner of the footy. He's 28 years old. So played footy for a long time now, which is, I think, is going to be good news for them. They want someone that can be, yes, he's fresh to the NRL, but he has played for a long time and has been in their system for a little bit now, and he'll be able to, I suppose, not be overawed by this massive occasion that is first game in Vegas there for sure. So he's definitely someone to look at, and if there's a chance that he can get sort of with Munro, it would be a minimum 3 weeks, I think, with Munro potentially being back in round 4, but he could go through New South Wales Cup as well. So I definitely don't see it as a terrible option to slot Jacob Gagai in as some cover in your wing fullbacks. Probably not a guy you want to start with. I'll have to see exactly. He should be at 230. I'm not sure if he's only wing fullback, but we'll find out after this video. Anyway, in that one, or I could just slot him in now, couldn't I? That'd be smart while we're here. Why don't we just do that? Mr. Gagai. Jacob there, 230. So wing fullback, yeah, exactly what we thought. 230, definitely someone you could slot in. I don't see much of an issue with it, that's for sure. All right, now to reveal Terrell May's team. Did he even get named? He got named. Alrighty. Wow, this is pretty wild. So the mail was correct that Wong and Tupanua were going to be in that starting side. That changes things a lot. Wow, so Connor Watson didn't even make the side, guys. That is huge. And Xavier Wilson did make it. Okay, I'm just kind of looking around. Pikura named. Cool. Jesse Arthurs. Dean Mariner. Dean Mariner beat Corey Oates out. Corey Oates is 18th man. This is very interesting. Okay, cool. Let's just go one at a time. One at a time, Jamie. Alrighty, so Tedesco, Tupou, Smith, Manu, and Suali'i. Exactly what we thought was going to happen. Kind of worked out slightly that, for them that Dom Young was injured. It means that all those outside backs could play. You got Kiri and Walker. Spencer Leniu is going to start. So we'll speak about that in a sec. Brandon Smith at the 9. Sandon Smith at 14. So congratulations to Sandon for pushing his way into his side. He was really good at the back end of last year. Lindsay Collins in the start as well. So Wong comes back into our teams, potentially. You've got Wong there, you've got Tupanua. So potentially both these guys are in with a shot of playing big minutes. And now let's look at that bench, right? You only have one guy that can play edge on this bench. And I suppose the good thing here is that they play the second game of the round. And if Butcher was to be pushed into the starting side, which I doubt would happen in this first week, but if that was the case, then we'd be able to know which one of Wong and Tupanua could get pushed out. My thoughts here, general thoughts, is that Wong is going to have a bit more upside than that of Tupanua. But which one of these guys plays big minutes? Or do they both play about 60 and Butcher plays sort of 40 on an edge and then he plays maybe a little bit through the middle, 10 or 15 through the middle? And if that was the case and both these guys weren't to get 80, man, that makes me all in on Terrell. Yeah, that's exciting. Nafahu White as well. He was really, really good in that trial, so I think he absolutely deserves this spot. And we don't see Crichton or Egan Butcher, or obviously Connor Watson in this side as well. So yeah, it's a bunch of really, really good players that have missed out, and I suppose this makes sense. I expected Egan to miss out. I didn't expect Connor after that trial, but Santa Smith makes a lot of sense. He's a very, very good player and helped them out at the back end of last year. Crichton, we weren't sure how that was going to play out, and we thought maybe Nat could be one of the edges, but I think they've decided, and this could change as well, guys. That's the only worry here, is that Jared Warrior-Hargreaves is out for the first round. So which one of these guys is going to miss out? So you'd imagine the Hargreaves starts, Lenu comes back to the bench. Is it White or is it... Oh, Jesus, that's scary. Is it White or is it Terrell May? Or is it one of Wong or Tupanua with Nat Butcher moving back onto an edge? That's the big question mark. I suppose they'd rather Butcher come on and play some minutes on an edge, or maybe comes on through the middle to kick things off, and then he moves to an edge at some point when one of these guys comes off, or he plays the back end of the, back 50 of the game or something like that. Could be a sort of a general thought with how Butcher's minutes are going to go. Hopefully we do find out a little bit more from coach as well, and we can make some more decisions on that. But that's my only worry there, is does Terrell lose his spot? I suppose at 490k, at minimum, I think you're going to get good minutes out of him in this game. And then if he was to miss out on this squad, which I doubt it, I think he's just too important of a middle forward in this side, and very different to a lot of the other guys, has a bit more of a motor than that of Lenu, and is sort of, I'd say, bigger, obviously bigger and potentially a bit stronger. Bends the line a little bit more than Lindsay, but Lindsay is absolutely gold in this side. He's an incredible player, their best forward. That's for sure. Not even close. So they're all different bodies for sure. Nat White, they're, again, different body to them, and will do a job. Nat Butcher is the consistent guy. So they all play a role. And I see this as being a really, really solid, consistent, what do we call it, balance side, is the way I look at it. But there could be a lot of things that happen with that Hargreaves news, with the fact that Butcher has now been moved to the bench. So there's a lot to think about, and I'm interested to find out. And I suppose the other side, the worst guys, if I'm picking Terrell there, and this makes me want to a little bit more. But again, how do you get Terrell? How do you get Wong and or Tupanua? That might be the worry, because Wong and Tupanua are cheaper than Terrell. They're cheaper than Totola as well. Do you pick both of Wong and Tupanua? Do you pick one of all four of these guys? Do you pick two of them? Is there other guys you can skip out on? It's a big question mark in that Roosters side, that's for sure. But super interesting in that, and Tedesco should come out and play pretty well, I imagine, in this first one. So for the Broncos, the outside backs, apart from Dean Mariner, at 450k is a bit awkward, guys. I think at this point he's fighting for that spot still on and off with Oates. Looks like he's won it for this game, but that's probably as far as it goes. If he had a shocker, Corey Oates could come in and do really well as also. But good to see that he's fought his way into that, which we kind of thought eventually he would, but then it sounded like Oates was going to be the guy. Payne Haas is there, Walters there, guys. You got Smoothie on the bench, so no 80 minutes for Walters. Jensen in the starting, like we thought it would be. Piakura being named. It looks like he'll be fine, which is great. And they're bench guys, so Payne Haas should play that 60 minutes. Carrigan should be pretty high as well. Piakura and Ricky should be pretty high, and you've got three middle forwards on that bench. So a few minutes will be taken off Carrigan, 20 off Haas, Jensen probably 40. So I can see low minutes, to be honest with you, from one of Baker or Willison. I think I don't see big minutes for each of those guys, but obviously helps having a hooker on the bench there that you can cover a few minutes. Maybe Piakura doesn't play the full lot, and Carrigan goes to an edge, and there's some minutes available there potentially. But Wilson on that interchange does make it interesting, but he could easily switch with any of these reserves as well. It sounds like he was close to being in and out of this squad. Baker makes the team fairly cheap. Again, can you go him at 350? Thinking he'll play decent minutes? I'm not sure at this point. Jensen will get good minutes. He'll be the third biggest middle forward after Carrigan, then Haas, then Jensen. And then it's like one of, does Hetherington get more minutes than Baker? Does Willison, has he earned his spot? There's too much of a guess at this point to know exactly what's going to happen, and that's probably where you have to leave it, unfortunately. Jaden Hunt looks like he's been sent over there as well, as a just in case. But it sounded like Piakura was going to be, over the last few days anyway, he's been pretty close to being set and ready to go. So I suppose not. Yeah, there's a few things that have been made clear. The Jacob Gagai one's the big one. Obviously, Wong coming back into, potentially into our sides as well with Tupanua is the big news, I suppose, from the Roosters there. And Dean Marriott. Yeah, there's a few things going on. Baker there, Willison there. There's plenty going on. There's not a lot of it is like set in stone, I suppose, in like knowing exactly what the roles are going to be and all that sort of stuff. So listen out to the coaches, hearing to see if they're talking about any of these guys potentially playing, certain minutes or how that's going to work as well. And I think we'll leave this Team List Tuesday here, and we'll use all this. Everything we've spoken about here to go through all the big cash cow video, the value guys, the must-have guns, and we'll do short versions of them because we're gonna have to do them this week and we're gonna have to do them next week as well, because I know a lot of people want to have their team set, but just make sure that you set the players from all 4 of these teams first. All the other guys can be interchangeable, but if you are going for big expensive guys in this, just make sure that you have some type of flexibility, or you're gonna have to go potentially cheaper in the rest of your team. But make sure all those guys are playing, or it's a Galvin or something like that has the buy in round 1, or the Seb Chris, these types of guys, just to make sure that you set your team up really well. But that's enough for this one. Thank you. A bunch of days left for people to get into the private group. The community league is in the description. Discord link, all of it's down there, guys. Jump in there, DM me if you have any questions as well. And thanks for being here for this first TLT in round 1.